Well, today Israel confirms and well apologizes for this image where well you can see an Israeli soldier hitting a Jesus figure on the head, a crucified Jesus, let's say, and hitting him on the head. Well, the FBI representative says that these are not the values of Israeli soldiers, but well, obviously the image has gone around the world. Another image that draws attention is the attacks on these boats, which, according to the Pentagon, are suspected of being involved in drug trafficking. It's not really a topic that stands out, obviously, especially without evidence, just some distant photos and what they claim is intelligence, but, well, let's see some real evidence. They have, however, killed 3 more people in the Caribbean, according to what the United States says. Earlier today, under orders from the Southern Command, General Francis Leila Donovan stated that this is the action that has taken place. The ship was operated by an organization that they claim is a terrorist organization. 3, they say, narco-terrorists were killed, without giving further explanations or the names of those killed. Obviously, well, it's a topic that is, well, an extrajudicial killing. That's not how the Pentagon operates right now. Also, well, this surprising image from China is shown. It's done. Well, this is one of the robots that took part in the 21-kilometer half marathon that took place in China. Robots participated. This is one of them. It's not the winner, but honestly, it's moving at a pretty interesting speed. Let's listen to the sound of its steps.
Hello.
Hello.
Well, it's part, let's say, of the journey they take. Here is the winner, by the way. This is the picture of the winner. This is the one from 2026. It's the winner. He just arrived, I mean, a bit dehydrated. He was leaning to the side. There he goes, there he goes, there he goes. He's going to cross. He's going to cross the finish line. Look, this is 2026, right? Let's look at 2025, how this happened. Look, in 2025, well, much slower, huh? I mean, look at 2025, he comes in. Look how much more slowly he comes in, huh? I mean, the evolution from one year to the next is really surprising. We would have to see the final number anyway, right? We would have to see the distance right now. We'll look at the details in a moment, okay? Today we have the full report details. I wanted to show you the image in advance, and the other image we're seeing also stands out.
Well, here we're seeing what would be the group of militias inside Gaza, anti-Hamas, that right now, together with Israel, are carrying out an operation to disarm the remaining Hamas groups.
Well, that's what's left of this radical group over there in Gaza. Also, this other image we're seeing here stands out as well.
Here we're seeing the Iranian state agency Tasman, which is basically the voice of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, where they claim that Iranian forces have attacked some U.S. military ships with drones. This is in response to the attack. Well, no, to the detention that took place today of an Iranian ship called Tosca by the United States.
The image you would see on this iPhone is impressive. It's a picture of the astronaut when they were, well, on the other side of the moon, right? With an iPhone, well, they managed to record this, right? What's the situation?
There's Earth, right? We're watching how the Earth is, well, disappearing behind the moon.
Exactly. Well, it's very interesting what's happening there, and well, what happened, it's a recording, obviously, from Orion, from the Artemis 2 project when they were, well, out there in space. A topic that, well, also serves as publicity for the iPhone, obviously.
No, it's the best image of the iPhone 17 from 2026.
Well, yes, that's right. Another image that catches the eye is this one. What happened there?
Here we're seeing, well, today there was a very strong storm with hail in Saudi Arabia, and it left a lot of damage, huh? Here's the footage of the hailstorm and what it looked like, but it was really intense in that area.
Well, this is in Saudi Arabia. We've already talked about the hailstorms that have been hitting over there and the storms that have been happening in these last few days. Well, that's also part of what happened. Another image that draws attention is what we're seeing here. If you look closely, these are drones attacking the Russian port on the Black Sea in Tuavs again. Russian air defense is reportedly active right now. Let's see if we can hear it. Let's go. You can hear the drone in the background, where they're obviously shooting at it. Well, that's also part of what's happening. And well, here's another image. What's going on?
That's the hailstorm in Saudi Arabia. Oh, let's say this is the lead up.
It's the lead up, let's say, to all this bad weather. Really intense, right? Tremendous, huh? Yeah. Come on, these are images that are becoming more and more common in Saudi Arabia, a desert country, but somehow it's been getting rain year after year in a pretty remarkable way. Also, well, let's move on to other matters. Let's go to other important topics as well. Also, this is an image of where the drones we saw a moment ago in Russia ended up. Well, this is the scene after the attack. According to reports, they hit the oil depot in an export area in Tuapse at Rosneft. This, well, according to reports, obviously caused explosions and fires. Right now, there's another depot burning inside Russia. This is a large-scale attack by Ukraine on oil infrastructure in southern Russia. Well, this is an issue that's been going on for quite a while now, for several months with attacks like this. It's definitely a surprising situation. And another thing that also draws attention is what we're seeing here. This was recorded by a pilot in Portugal or over Portugal while he was on his way from San Francisco to Lisbon, right? This was back in 2023.
It's an old image, but it's truly beautiful.
It's really beautiful, honestly. Another image that stands out is the one we'll see in a little while about the statements made by Tim Burchett. Do you remember this congressman? We'll see him in a bit. The congressman had an interview on News Nation, and we're going to watch a small part of the interview, which is actually quite interesting what the United States congressman says about or regarding the UFO phenomenon and what, well, is wanted right now. Well, basically to spread this, right? That this is an open topic and that they are putting a lot of pressure on United States intelligence. It's also a topic that we'll talk about in a few moments, but we have to move on to the potential escalation that could happen over there in Iran. Let's get into the details of what's happening here. And well, as you join the live stream, go ahead and give it a like, share it. Your participation in the channel is very important. Thank you very much, by the way, for helping us share, for giving it a like. Well, now it's really about making the community grow. Thank you so much for that. A huge shout out to Roblox, to Novak's buddy, obviously Blanca Barcelo, to everyone who's joining. Thank you so much. Tabatia, how are you? Alba, Manuel, MTF. All right.
Greetings to Ben.
Greetings to Ben and the community. Let's move on to other matters. There is, well, a statement made by Iran itself, and basically they say that this is about to escalate. No, I mean, this already looks like an escalation. An Iranian source speaking to the outlet Al Jazeera reportedly said that there is a gap between Trump's statements on one hand and reality on the other. They warn that constantly resorting to deception has been causing a new escalation. And the reality is that indeed there have been deceptions on both sides constantly, and the truth is that it's perfectly understandable that there is no trust. Even though there is no trust, there is an indicator that shows there is uncertainty, but it's not escalating sharply. Even though it appears so, and yes, there have been gunshots and we are going to report some risky situations right now, it hasn't been problematic enough, at least not in the numbers we are seeing at this moment. Yes, it has gone up from $90 to $95 for the price of Brent, but as long as it doesn't go over 100, there is still hope that there will be a conversation. And this is because, well, Donald Trump says there will be talks next Tuesday. Things are moving. Another thing that would also show that there is possibly some kind of negotiation is that Pakistan is already making all the security arrangements to prepare for the summit, let's say the meeting between Iran and the United States. And so, well, that dialogue in theory is happening on Tuesday, but at the same time, there are also signs of conflict.
Yes, because on one hand, we see Donald Trump saying that talks will resume on Tuesday, when apparently today there was absolutely nothing. But Iran also says that this is a lie, that no talks will be resumed, that nothing will happen until what they are asking for is given, right? Basically, and that is that they want the blockade on the ports to be lifted. And well, today, with what happened with the detention of this ghost oil tanker, I think it's a phantom.
Yes, it's a ghost ship. That ship that was detained today was already classified as such.
It was sanctioned.
It was sanctioned, exactly.
So, well, that also doesn't help, obviously. So, well, Trump declared today that the White House envoys, who are Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff, that in the end, this J.D. Vance had his trip canceled. They cited security reasons again, just like last time when he still went. This time they said he'd go, but then canceled, and now it's really canceled. Anyway, it was those two. He apparently doesn't care if he loses one of them.
Let's go, let's go, let's go. So that's the specific detail you're talking about. It's according to what was first reported, I think, by ABC News, which said that JD Vance simply won't be leading the diplomatic delegation anymore, but that also made sense. I mean, yes, for security reasons or whatever, I honestly think JD Vance had no business being there. I mean, they have to leave it to someone else. In any case, well, Marco Rubio could be the one since he's a tougher person, but also someone who knows more about politics and knows how far you can give in and how far you can't. JD Vance, the only approach he was going to have there was the MAGA approach of not moving towards sending troops. But if you want a more long-term solution, you have to go with someone who truly has power, because JD Vance doesn't have power because he's a vice president. The vice president is there almost as an observer. Someone like Marco Rubio as Secretary of State, as the White House's national security advisor. We have to remember that he holds several positions that are basically the same positions that Henry Kissinger once held. He's the only one besides Kissinger to have held them. Let's say I'm not comparing them as being the same or anything like that, but they do meet those requirements of having that level of power. Why? Because one way or another, Trump, despite the animosity that existed before he became president-elect for the second time, there were strong debates between Marco Rubio and Donald Trump. They said a bit of everything to each other, but at the same time they respect each other when it comes to working and operating as politicians. And Marco Rubio is an operator. He knows how to operate. He's disciplined. He's a person who has certain characteristics in that regard. We have to remember that's how he shows himself, right? He's not a very religious person, but at one point he was what they call this. No, no, no. It's just that he was in one religion, then in another, and then not in another. He has changed 2 or 3 times, but let's say he was very Mormon. He was Mormon. I think he was Mormon. He was like those who go and knock on doors. Or he was a Jehovah's Witness, one of those, and then later he was Catholic or converted to Catholicism. But let's say, and as I understand it, his family was originally Catholic, being Cuban, and then he changed and later came back. Well, he's changed, but JD Vance's change is in his name. He's changed it 4 or 5 times. Did you know that? Yes, yes. I mean, JD Vance is an invention, basically. I mean, JD Vance doesn't exist as such, neither his last name nor his first name. He's delusional. But his name is completely different. He sells himself in a story, in a movie that's half a lie, half true, and he built a character that was basically created in fiction, JD Vance, and well, he tries to present himself as someone who came from nothing, when in reality that's not the case. The one who really did come from nothing is Marco Rubio. I mean, his family, really, his parents worked hard just to earn their daily bread, basically, and he actually had to live that reality. JD Vance did have problems, obviously, with his family and addictions and all of that, but it's known that his family, generally speaking, well, there was money, there was some significant money there. Now, I'm not saying that makes him good or bad, it's just that he's selling a story that isn't true, right? And another case that stands out is Witkoff and Jared Kushner, who are also two people who don't really know about politics, they know about business. That's basically what JD Vance knows as well. Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner himself, who are also focused on business matters. That's their focus. And yes, they are very trusted by Donald Trump, which I think is the part that caught his attention. The trust, the closeness he could have, the fact that they could keep certain secrets, and yes.
I think the plan with them, because the truth is that Marco Rubio should always be in those conversations, negotiations that we constantly see Steve Witkoff in. He's taking his place. I mean, it's really Marco Rubio who should be doing this. But we have to remember that Steve Witkoff has a very long history with Donald Trump when it comes to business. And Steve Witkoff's plan is that Donald Trump is going to come out ahead in this negotiation. Marco Rubio can't have that mentality because he's someone who's more into politics, while Steve Witkoff is 100% business. Well, Trump.
And the Secret Service? What they require is, I think it's 24 hours. The information varies a bit depending on the source. But they require at least 24 hours to be able to prepare all the necessary security. For a vice president, supposedly, and supposedly there wasn't enough preparation. Honestly, I see this as very fake in the sense that for several days now they've been saying there would be negotiations over the weekend. I mean, if they were really going to hold the negotiations, they had to go ahead, so then they could have held the negotiations.
But yes, I mean, the arrangements have been in place since yesterday. Yesterday for us, they've already started over there in Pakistan. And well, anyway, Trump has repeated the same threat again. We already know it, that if an agreement isn't reached, Iran will be completely destroyed. That they're going to start with bridges, then power plants, and well, he keeps repeating this threat. Honestly, I'm not sure people still believe him.
No. Zero credibility. I mean, not because it couldn't happen, but because he always uses the same threat, and you can't negotiate when someone is threatening to destroy you, to wipe you out. I mean, you just can't do that, especially when it's basically like giving an ultimatum. It's like, how do you say carrot and stick, right? Basically, that's what it is. So it's an issue that, and above all, it also depends a lot on the country you're going to, right? And you have to understand how they think and how they are, since some countries are prouder than others. The case of Iran specifically, well, if anything has characterized them, it's that they are very proud, and these kinds of things make negotiation impossible. Now, that's the policy of Abbas, Aragashi, and all of them. They keep sending this kind of signal that it's possible that there could be a gesture toward negotiation, but today, even the one who's supposedly the moderate in quotes, he sent a list, published a list of what they're asking for, and it's all the things that Donald Trump says he won't give up. The uranium, demanding payment for passage through the Strait of Hormuz, those are among them. I mean, come on. What are you going to negotiate if there's no framework for negotiation for Marco Rubio? Alright, let's go. Other matters. Let's move on to other matters, because this report I have here has just come in. This comes from an agency that I didn't get a chance to review, but it's from the Tasman agency. And we usually try to see what the media over there are saying, to see their perspective, the Iranians too, right? And to understand more or less how they're thinking, or at least how they want to present themselves, right? Because one thing is what they say, and another thing is what they do. But like almost all politicians, that's the thing. The thing is, in this case, what Tasman says, or basically what the Revolutionary Guard says, is that they say, okay, yes, there's negotiation and all that, but what we're seeing are military movements, preparations for more war. That's also true, since the United States itself publishes that. Or what does the United States do? Well, today we have to remember that we mentioned it just a little while ago. Urgently, what's it called? A destroyer, a United States destroyer in this part of the map. We're going to be watching. I mean, in this area and right in the strait, it fired at an Iranian ship. In other words, they fired because it was going to pass through here. They told it to stop, it didn't stop, and so they fired at the engine room. Supposedly, the oil tanker was disabled. in the troops board the ship. There are no images of the troops entering the ship. But anyway, let's look at this point. The thing is that among these movements, with an aircraft carrier, a third aircraft carrier heading to this area that a few days ago was near Namibia, according to reports, so it could possibly be heading to this area. In the coming days, a third aircraft carrier will arrive, possibly replacing the Abraham Lincoln, or maybe they simply want a third carrier for an unknown reason. We should remember that they have also sent other ships that are coming from this side. No, this was a topic that is going to focus on the issue of mines. Remember, we also talked about that. A European naval force is also coming. It's not clear, at least it's not clear to me yet how many ships are coming, but there are 4 countries involved. France, the United Kingdom, Italy, and Germany, those are the 4 countries. Countries that also send warships to this area, although they say it's basically to open the strait, but in a peaceful way, as they insist. They say they don't want to get involved in the war, but they do want this to be open, as it's supposed to be under international law with the famous rite of passage. So here's the thing, you as a ship can't come here to fish because these are not considered international waters. So you can't go fishing or do whatever you want, but what you can do is have the right of free passage. No one can charge you there. So that's the issue that Europe is fighting for right now.
Exactly. It's also reported that a ship from a French shipping company ran aground in the Strait of Hormuz. And well, according to reports, the shipping company is CMA CGM, which confirmed that. In addition, the ship received warning shots on Saturday in an incident that fortunately did not leave anyone injured. But, well, it does create tensions in the area. Obviously, well, there is already an organization called the International Maritime Organization that indicated that the vessel Everglades did suffer damage, but so far they are not talking about any further impact. They are surely already coordinating the operation to move the ship.
Well, that's how things are. By the way, a big shout out to Tapatia who says cheers. This is from my daughter's work parking lot. I'm sure she got caught. Big shout out, Tapatia. Awesome. Well, we're here with you in the parking lot, sending big greetings. Also, most of the whole community is here. Francisco Arce, how have you been? Ben, who else is around? Italo, how have you been? Big greetings all the way to Chile. Jose Sara Temito Cayo, how have you been? Martin Gutierrez, big greetings. Let's move on to other important matters as well.
Well, there was an event that really caught people's attention because who knows how many similar cases there could be in the United States. And today at the Los Angeles airport, they have a woman named Shamim Afi, a foreigner who was allegedly selling or buying weapons for the Islamic regime. This would be a foreigner allegedly more closely linked to the Iranian army and intelligence who obtained her residency. Well, a few years ago, federal authorities arrested her, this woman at the airport, the Los Angeles International Airport. This Iranian woman has been accused of brokering the sale of drones, bombs, detonators, assault weapons, and millions of rounds of Iranian-made ammunition to Sudan in violation of U.S. sanctions laws, obviously. And this 44-year-old woman, a resident of Woodland Hills, was arrested at the airport for trafficking weapons on behalf of the Iranian government.
The story is absolutely crazy, just unbelievable. I mean, it's shocking. So, federal agents arresting an Iranian woman in the United States at the port. I mean, one of the most important ports in Los Angeles. Let's see if this is really the case, because even Fox News, for example, which is the one reporting it, still isn't treating it as alleged. Let's wait for more details to see if it's confirmed. I mean, the arrest is confirmed.
Yes. In fact, there's this photo where she's being arrested and everything.
No, I mean, that's confirmed. What we need to see is, well, the investigation into whether this was really destined for the Islamic regime, which is likely, but we'll have to watch all of this. But what I'm getting at is that it's amazing. Let's put up the image of the lady, right? I mean, she's quite experienced. There she is.
If she were found guilty, she could spend up to 20 years in prison.
Well, this reminds me of that character played by Nicolas Cage, right? It was called Lord of War.
Yes?
Yeah, I mean, they're not characters you can't imagine. I mean, what I'm saying is they're just women, they're just men. At the end of the day, they're business people, right? What I'm getting at is that these are businesses. I mean, what we see here, just like with drugs and other things, in the end, one thing is the cliche from movies and documentaries, and it's not that it doesn't have some truth to it as well. But in reality, in day-to-day life, most of the people who are involved in those things aren't going to do that to you. They're not going to be walking around wearing a hat all day. I mean, they'll be wearing suits. They'll look like they're running a normal business or company, but in reality, they're involved in some pretty dark things. In the case of this lady, she must have felt very sure that absolutely nothing was going to happen to her. She must have felt very confident that she was going to get away with it, that her work was hidden enough, so to speak, right? So what? Then, these kinds of cases, regardless of the fact that I insist it's under investigation and the information is still developing, well, now it would have been by the FBI itself. I mean, the counterintelligence group, right? Yes.
The counterintelligence squad were the ones who made this arrest. This woman, well, she allegedly organized the sale of 55,000 bomb detonators for the Sudanese army, multiple ammunition deals, including 10 million rounds for the famous AK-47S, and a proposed contract for 240 million rounds.
You see her walk through the airport.
Well, a businesswoman, you might say.
You can't imagine.
Well, yes, a businesswoman.
Yes, I mean, like 50 business deals. I mean, but you can't even imagine the history behind it. It's crazy, unfortunately. Well, they probably won't have any notice there about what they do. Obviously, that's not the thing. It's just that the investigators claim there was a pretty big operation going on here. He shows some images of the cash, of the money they had. The authorities also arrested a man, 44 years old, at Los Angeles International Airport for an alleged case of international arms trafficking. So, it's a man and a woman then? Or what's going on? I mean, it's something that really stands out, I keep saying. So this woman who's accused in California, but we're also talking about a man, right? The thing is that here they're getting involved. I don't think it's going to sound like that. Surely there are more people involved. The point is that it also mentions a 44-year-old man. Let's see if that can also be confirmed. I insist this is still developing.
There's the photo of the arrest.
Here's the arrest photo. Let's show it.
It seems like it's a strange translation.
The photo of it could be, but look, here's the moment when they arrest them or arrest her, right? It just happened now, huh? I mean, this is crazy. Well, at the end of the day, it's intelligence work that detects this, right? Obviously, the people who work there at the airport aren't going to detect this. They focus on another type of security. No, they're not going to. I mean, this one will be. And
he had been living in the United States since 2016, so it had already been 10 years. And well, it's known that he traveled constantly to Turkey, Oman, Iran, and other countries. They always use this as the third country, right? Basically as a bridge to carry out the transactions.
Yeah, well, let's see if the accusation, as they call it, actually sticks, right? That will have to be the job of the prosecutors and obviously the FBI, who have to present the evidence, and maybe some agencies in Turkey and other regions that might also have information, Interpol, etc. Well, that's also a huge issue. It's already known that there are payment channels between these countries. Yes, it's already very connected.
Yes, I get the sense the investigation is already very advanced. Exactly.
Exactly. Let's discuss other equally important matters. Let's see, science stories that caught my attention today. One that has to do with the NSA, this internal security agency of the United States, which they say is using myths, what's it called, about the cloud.
No, about Anthropic?
About Anthropic, no. According to reports, this US National Security Agency, though they are using this superintelligence because it's an intelligence on another level that has detected thousands and thousands of flaws in all digital platform services, servers, and banks. It's like they take the intelligence, give it access, so to speak. Let's not say they make it review its own operations and their own platforms and all this. And suddenly they say, here are failures, 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 failures. Well, it detected a lot of servers that didn't even have passwords, and you think that's ridiculous, but well, what's going on? Well,
So, the National Security Agency, or NSA, is currently using the most advanced model of this AI called Mythos Preview, which was developed by Anthropic, even though the government itself considers it risky. In fact, there was a conversation, if you remember, between the head of the Treasury, that's Scott, his name is Scott Bassett, along with Jerome Powell about the topic of Mythos. There was an emergency meeting and all last weekend, if I'm not mistaken. And well, this decision is in direct conflict with the Department of War, the Pentagon, which had previously labeled Anthropic as a threat in the supply chain. Back in February, the Pentagon tried to block the use of Anthropic technology and has even been pressuring suppliers to do the same, although in reality, they also used it in Iran's attacks. This has already been mentioned, and despite this, well, Anthropic, yes, it has. Despite this, the NSA continues to use Mythos for advanced cybersecurity capabilities. And this model, well, is designed to detect, as Pepe mentions, exploitable vulnerabilities in digital systems. That's its specialization, which makes it, yes, a super valuable tool, but also a super dangerous one. Anthropic has already limited access to Mythos to only 40 organizations because of its capabilities for what could be a cyber attack.
this is intense. Let's move on to other important matters. Check this out. Scientists have found what they call a brain circuit that could reverse obesity. Well, this is an approach not towards, let's say, the topic of hormones or, right? I mean, this problem is addressed in many different ways. Because in the end, as we know well, that excess weight, especially when it's too much, can also cause many potential diseases. So they're precisely trying to reverse this whole situation. The group of scientists identified what they call a brain circuit capable of reversing obesity, marking a possible turning point in metabolic medicine. The study with this. Do you remember what this is called or its name?
Now,
They focus on a natural substance that activates mechanisms in the brain to increase the body's energy expenditure. I mean, it's not so much to make you feel full, it's also a hormonal thing like Ozempic, but it's not like, you know how Ozempic is supposed to make you feel full? This is FGF21, a hormone that makes your body burn more energy. In other words, it says, according to this, it increases the body's energy expenditure. Unlike current treatments, the approach doesn't aim to reduce hunger, but rather to make the body actively burn more energy. The discovery was made by researchers at the University of Oklahoma in the United States, and it has already been published in the scientific journal Cell Reports. This is obviously a development, it's a scientific topic, and it's still under investigation in that area. Those structures, such as the nucleus of the solitary tract and the area postrema, play, according to these scientists, a key role in regulating metabolism, he says. This circuit sends signals to the parabrachial nucleus, generating a response that increases energy expenditure and automatically reduces body weight. In tests that, by the way, are not with humans right now, they're tests with mice. The activation of this system managed to reverse obesity even in advanced stages, which greatly increases the significance of this discovery. Well, obviously it's a different approach than Ozempic, but it's also hormonal. I mean, but it's aimed at another area, not at burning fat, let's say, as if you were exercising, so to speak, right?
I remember there was an episode, I don't remember if it was from X-Files or one of those weird series, where each episode is like a mini story, a mini tale. A character was given something to speed up their metabolism, but then started eating like this, as if they were desperate. So hopefully that doesn't happen because things got really ugly, I remember.
I can imagine. No, hopefully not. Just imagine now. However, it says there are still important limitations. The results have only been tested on animals and it can't be guaranteed that they'll work on humans yet. I mean, it's still a long process. And this discovery, more than an invention, they see it as that, as a discovery that they're trying to understand.
Because the body is tricky, right? It gets efficient and burns less.
It's made for that, right? It's made for that.
You can run, and it turns out that after a while, you don't burn the same amount anymore.
Eventually, you just don't burn as much anymore. Anyway, let's move on to other topics, especially scientific ones. There's also a topic that catches my attention today, which is, well, a Mexican person in this case who has been in charge of a very important area of the Artemis 2 project. This person was born in San Miguel de Allende and didn't speak English. And, well, he goes to the United States, and today, at 30 years old, he's the leader of a NASA team that developed the emergency fire system for the Artemis 2 mission. Imagine not even knowing English.
Uh,
A teacher, apparently, in San Miguel de Allende. Well, he shows them a spacecraft launch, right? And he says that from that moment on, his life kind of changes and he realizes he likes it, right? He starts studying it. He goes to study in the United States. He studies mechanical engineering at first. And after that, well, he keeps studying more advanced things. His name is Manuel Retana Para. He's 30 years old, leader of a group of engineers who developed part of the emergency equipment. The astronauts on the Artemis 2 mission. And, well, his parents are from Durango, by the way, from Durango here in Mexico, and he was also born here in Mexico, right? He arrived when he was 15. He was just learning English at that age. I mean, let's be clear. He wasn't born over there. No. He came from here, from Mexico, but with scholarships, that's how it was. He moved forward, and aunt let him stay over there, and so on. He studied mechanical engineering at the University of Nevada, then got a master's degree in aeronautical and astronautical engineering. Stanford University is already on another level. And, well, there. Then he tried to get into NASA a few times. He tried 11 times, like Jose Hernandez, right? He tried 11 times and all 11 times well, I guess. 10 times they rejected him and the last time they finally accepted him, but they kept turning him down. No and no and no and no and no, but he didn't give up until he was able to work at NASA. Well, it's obviously an interesting story, right? In the end, these are cases that inspire, aren't they? And a lot of people see it as almost impossible, basically being able
to get into NASA.
Getting into NASA or achieving a dream like that can feel really far away.
He looks really young. He's 30 years old.
Yeah.
He's young.
He's young. Really good, right?
Babyface,
right? Yeah, here he is. Look, in another photo, somewhere around here. Well, the thing is that...
And he's the leader. He leads 15 engineers. I mean, well, he basically built the contingency breathing system for the Orion spacecraft in 5 years.
There it is. That's the thing. What really stands out is a case involving an accident, right? Apparently, that there was an apparent accident where Mexican officials and U.S. officials died. This happened in Chihuahua. What?
This was in Chihuahua? Well, it turns out that in Chihuahua there was an operation to dismantle a drug lab and supposedly it happened.
Are Mexico and the United States collaborating on that? And suddenly there's an accident.
Exactly. Among the 2 deceased, well, there are 4 deceased. 2 are officials from the United States Embassy and 2 are members of the State Investigation Agency of Chihuahua. One of them was the director of the AEI in the region, and well, according to the reports, this accident occurred on the Chihuahua-Ciudad Juarez Highway when the officials were returning from the operation. To dismantle this laboratory in the municipality of Morelos in Chihuahua, and well, according to the Attorney General of Chihuahua, his name is Cesar Jorge Moreno. He said that the director of the AEI, Pedro Ramon Oseguera, had lost his life along with his bodyguard. His name is Manuel Kenaro Mendez. And well, also these 2 Americans, Ronald Johnson, who is the United States ambassador to Mexico, expressed his condolences for the deaths of the 2 officials and acknowledged that they were carrying out security tasks, that everything was approved and all, because, well, you know that this is a sensitive issue when Americans are involved in the country's security matters.
And well, there's an issue that, at least in this statement, they refer to as an incident, not an accident.
They mention an accident, but it's unclear to me what it was. I assume it was a road crash or something similar, but I haven't seen exactly what happened.
Well, we'll be paying attention to see if there are more details. This topic, right? We'll be paying attention to this situation. By the way, there's also talk about speaking of scientific topics, about an eye-related development. So, How is that going? How is it progressing?
In North Korea, researchers managed to 3D print an artificial human cornea, guys.
You know that when it's usable?
Usable, it's crazy. This was done with one. What this printer can do is replicate natural human tissue. You have to remember that when someone needs a cornea transplant, you have to wait that someone donates one, the whole donation thing and all that. Well, they end up waiting for years if they ever receive it at all. So, well, it's a very interesting advancement in what's called regenerative medicine from a team called POSTEC. At the Gyeongbuk National University over in South Korea, they created this so-called bioengineered cornea, which could help with the global shortage of donor tissues in general. And unlike synthetic ones, which often lack clarity, I mean, they're not as compatible because the person might reject them. This version has bio-ink, which is specialized and made from corneal matter and stem cells. This has generated a lot of excitement because the person who received it has been doing very well so far. We have to remember that sometimes it can take years and the body might suddenly reject it, so it's not something unusual. And well, they have carefully measured the forces during the printing process, and the researchers were able to recreate the precise structure of the collagen in the eye. This arrangement is called a lattice, and it's essential both for transparency, since of course it has to be super transparent, and for being hard enough to protect the eye.
So, well, this is a turning point. If this can be replicated around the world, or if it can be developed for other people, just imagine the potential. At the very least, the potential is enormous. Obviously, it would change life for a lot of people. Instead of waiting for someone to print it for you, just imagine.
If there were any damage, the repair would be quick.
Exactly. And besides, you take control. You can see in...
With x-rays,
Just imagine, right?
that's fine. Obviously, they've managed to integrate the development into natural tissues, but let's say they all need to do more studies, more trials. It's not something that happens quickly, so please don't rush. Now we're discussing something else, and it was the same before. Super. Oh, the thing about the gasoline.
The thing with the diesel, the mixing with water and all that stuff, yeah.
That's fascinating, but more research is needed.
Well, like everything, it takes time, right?
Good things take time, Papachito.
Well, let's move on to other matters. In the meantime, well, we still have something pending and we'll get to it in a moment. We haven't forgotten about the Tim Burchett story, right? And this whole effort to get more information revealed about the UAPs and all these cases over there in the United States. Let's move on to another matter. Well, what's going on? There are some issues, I think, that remain unresolved. Amid everything that's been happening today, Kim Jong-un has continued testing his arsenals over in North Korea. He fired 5 short-range ballistic missiles. Yesterday, we mentioned there were some launches, but there were no details. Now the details are in.
Well, now we have the direct details from North Korea from their state agency, which is called KCNA. They reported that these projectiles landed in an area of up to 3 hectares and 136 kilometers from the launch point. The test aimed to validate the potential of a ballistic missile called Gyeongsong-Pro, an 11RA, which is an improved version and is also equipped with a cluster bomb warhead. Seoul's Joint Chiefs of Staff had already spoken about this issue and confirmed the launches that took place on Sunday. For them, it was 6:10 in the morning.
The attacks, well, are incidents that we had to comment on last night, but there weren't many details. I think they only mentioned one, and now we know that there were actually 5 short-range tactical missiles.
And about the cluster munitions, I think that information wasn't available there either.
The information about the cluster munitions wasn't there either. Well, all of these with that really strange name, by the way, Hwaxiang-po, like you said, Hwaxiang-po 11Ra, right? It's the improved version, as you said, of this cluster bomb development, which is obviously also an important topic. And these have also been missiles launched from ships. I mean, this is also a topic that draws attention. I mean, they launched these missiles from ships that they have also been developing. I mean, I don't know what they're like inside. The classic thing people say is, oh, they're really ugly inside. Well, I don't know, but on the outside, honestly, they do look impressive. And it's a country that, despite its poverty or its crisis, whatever you want to call it, has organized itself in a very militaristic way, very military focused. And yes, with a very repressed society. Also, it's something nobody wants to mess with because of the number of weapons they've shown they have, right? It's an issue that surely worries South Korea, Japan, and the neighboring countries more and more, even China itself, right? I don't think they see the progress they've made, especially in nuclear matters, in a very positive light, right? That's the part that can be most concerning, having a nuclear neighbor, because at the end of the day, that's how it is, right? Or that they do whatever they want and, well, in the end, they make their own rules. But so far, at least with this figure of Kim Jong-un, he hasn't really shown much desire to go on the offensive, at least for now. And he's already starting to prepare his daughter, right? She's 13 years old, but he's already preparing her, and exposing her more and more to the media and all that, even showing her in official situations.
Exactly. The other day, there was even an image of her inside a tank and outside of it. So it's a really tough preparation, isn't it, for someone so young?
Yes, exactly. Let's move on to what's happening with Tim Burch and this comment he made in an interview over at Newsmax. Let's check it out. This person is Tim Burch, a United States congressman who has insisted that he is the congressman from Tennessee, a Republican. And he insists that there's something strange, that there could even be a civilization under the sea. Or at least that's what some military personnel have told him. But in an interview, he says the following. Let's listen to him.
I've had a lot of these briefings. I even had one since then, the one you're describing. I had someone from our management team who had organized it, which shows how serious the matter is. And you know, I think people need to know what we've seen and what these pilots are seeing. And Luna, for example, we requested all those videos and she, set a sort of deadline for getting them, and she calls there and they tell her, well, we don't know anything about the letter. That kind of thing, the same old stuff you and I have run into for years on this issue. And the United States is ready. I think they would. I'm concerned about what it is and think that, but I think above all it alarmed them. Maria, the reason why the government doesn't allow it, yes, that's right. What's at the root of all this? And, putting aside all the theories, whether you think it's extraterrestrial, if you think it's something from this earth, if it's the Russians or the Chinese or the Americans, which I don't think it is. And then maybe let some of the pilots talk and tell exactly what they've seen. Done. In the last briefing, I had some really incredible photos, and I think you should have the right to see them. And the critics are going to tear it apart. They're going to say it's artificial intelligence, that it could be anything. But you have to go back and ask yourself why some of the best pilots in the world would risk their credibility to come out with this. Because every time they make a sighting, many times, they would have to undergo a psychological evaluation. Do all that paperwork, even if it was something they saw on the radar. But now we have officers in the Navy seeing these very large objects on sonar traveling at a very high speed, something exponentially faster than anything we can achieve. You have to realize that there's an object out there in the ocean that's hovering above the sea in the air, that remains suspended for what could be hours and hours. We don't have anything with that capability. You would run out of fuel. And then when they take off, it's just, maybe straight up. And the power to do that it's like the energy you would need to power Los Angeles. I mean, it's that incredible. And I just don't see no reason why our government should hide it. And I don't like going into a meeting and having an elected bureaucrat tell us that the president is only told what he needs to know. To me, that should make it very clear to the United States that there's much more behind all of this than we can imagine. And you heard it directly. Of course, absolutely. Absolutely. And I know that Matt Gaetz spoke a couple of weeks ago about a briefing he had regarding a reproduction process between extraterrestrial beings. He didn't say he had seen it. He didn't say it was a fact. He just said that a member of the military had talked to him about the subject. And I've heard those things. I mean, sure, I've heard them before, but I haven't seen anything. I have my own beliefs about it, about everything that's happening. But that doesn't mean it's right or wrong. I just think it's time for the United States to receive this information.
What? Thank you. Well, those are some of the statements made by Tim Burch while we were watching some archive footage so we wouldn't have to see his grumpy face. But those are archive images of drones that have been appearing, of drones, whatever they are, that have been showing up. Most of these are from the eastern area, almost all of them. There are just a couple that are from Europe. In almost all of them, no, on the Atlantic side, the Atlantic, yes, the ones that were on that side in the northern part of the Atlantic, and a couple from Europe and so on.
In California, there are a lot of sightings.
Right, yes, it's just that this is basically an archived edit for when there are comments from in California, yes, the boom. Well, I mean, there's always been a huge boom of sightings there. Nevada, California, Baja California, Mexico, etc. And well, actually, he himself has studied a case specifically in the very south of California, right? Que es donde vieron esto under 150 meters of water, right? Not only that, but what was it doing there? It's a huge circle, and besides, it was moving at a speed that, well, no known submarine can travel at, right? So these are things that are demanding pressure on the intelligence agencies. It's difficult right now, honestly, because it seems like nothing is really happening. I mean, what Trump says has a double purpose, right? Or his own purpose. To distract, obviously, but on the other hand, those who are actually doing serious research on the subject want to take advantage of this distraction from Trump and to reveal things that are true and important, things they've been saying for years that they would reveal. So, well, maybe it's like that perfect storm in the good sense where serious things are revealed, things that in the end change the perspective of what's happening there so that it can be investigated more thoroughly, right? Well, a topic that already has claimed its victims too, right? Unfortunately, there's also pressure against it. Bush himself has warned about it several times.
He doesn't intend to lose his life.
Exactly. He doesn't plan to take his own life. He's saying, don't make it look like he accidentally fell out of a window or something similar. Well, let's move on to other important matters. We're almost getting to the comments. Thank you very much to those who are joining. If you're just joining, go ahead and give it a like, right? That doesn't hurt. Let's move on to other important points. Today there was an earthquake, a strong one, a magnitude 6 earthquake. This was over in Tonga, apparently. Well, not just one, several, but this one in Tonga is the one that stands out the most, especially because it's not very deep. It's about 30 kilometers deep or 36 kilometers deep. That's how it ended up in the end. It's a 6.1 earthquake in Tonga. It didn't generate a tsunami. I mean, it didn't. There was an early warning for a possible tsunami. In the end, it didn't generate one. At least up to now, they haven't reported any. Another earthquake that also draws attention today is this one, which is not just an earthquake, but an earthquake swarm. Not just a single earthquake, it would have been a 6.0 as well. Well, that's part of what you can see there, of what's moving in different parts of the world. This one was near Kermadec, according to the reports. Well, another one of the regions with a lot of activity today. That's how it is. As you know, not all of them are in the Pacific. Not all of them are in these regions of the world, right? And we're seeing that. These are the very active ones. Actually, this whole area has been quite active recently, right?
The Alaska area is also active as well.
Yes, well, those areas are always active, right? Yes, always. Just more so right now. It's like we've had some really strong ones in Alaska. I don't think so. I don't think I've seen any of 6, but let's put the strongest one. The last strongest one in recent days would be this one here, a 5. This one right here, right? But yeah, a lot of activity. All this area, all that area. Well, let's go to the comments. How have you all been? Greetings, Adrian Gilbert. Greetings. Very good. How are you? Greetings to Spain, to all the community that's joining us from that country, also in. Well, to everyone watching us from the United States, obviously from here in Mexico, from anywhere in the world, thank you so much for joining us.
See you. The dad joke goes, do you know what a cow does with its eyes closed? It makes concentrated milk. Warm greetings. I'm with my girlfriend and we checked that the flame is still alive.
Tudumps.
Greetings to Roble, to Edilcio Sendeño, to Adrian Gilbert, and also greetings to the dad who is obviously here too. MT is in, joins our group, and gives PP advice. Vema Cruz, you'll love it.
Yes. It's already, let's say, on the list. Thank you very much.
Greetings also to Rublox. How are you, Rublox? To Blanca Barcelo as well. And MT says, North Korea, there is great poverty. Its people are not from Gobi. They live in what is not from the government. They live in the countryside. The children work so they can eat from a young age. They don't go to school. Those who do go do it to be able to join the military, says MT. Greetings.
MT.
I recommend watching it on CNN in Espanol. There's a story coming up about a family with a North Korean, 9 who managed to escape, how they made it out by sea. They say traveling through China takes days and you get sent back quickly. But if you go to South Korea, you can stay and won't be sent back. But their story is super interesting. Greetings, MT. I recommend it in Spanish.
Okay, there it is. Sometimes you hear fascinating reports from people who escape and share difficult stories.
Really intense, yes.
Says the robot Chandian, meaning Full Lightning, completed the 21 kilometers of the half marathon in a record time of 50 minutes and 26 seconds.
That's the one we're seeing now. Greetings to Albert and Martin. He sends a warm greeting from Villavicencio, Colombia, and thanks you for your important service in keeping us informed. Thank you. With such dedication and responsibility, greetings, Albert.
Greetings, Albert. Thank you very much for your comment. Also, greetings, Edilcia. How have you been? Greetings to Panama. How are you doing over there?
Greetings to Miguel Martin. My wife and I always listen to you. Thank you both for watching us.
Great. Greetings. How have you been?
Our friend Bolasilo at Macrocero says, you'll see how something extraterrestrial is found under the sea. Greetings. What greetings did we hear, wife?
Thank you very much for keeping us informed.
Yes, go ahead. Greetings to, let's see, who haven't we greeted yet? Francisco Arce is also here. How are you, Francisco? Riyaj, greetings. It says, hello, greetings from Mexicali, specifically from Playita. Greetings, Riyaj. Greetings also to Blanca Barcelo says, now it includes AI to read your chats and emails. Greetings. And Gabriel, who is watching us from Puerto Rico.
Hello, how have you been?
Also to Oscar Flaco, how are you, Oscar?
Hello?
Greetings to Martin, Neri Galva, and Salazar watching from Galveston. So young, greetings. Also, it says here the dad. We already read this one. Greetings also to Martin Obor, these comments that we add later.
Greetings, Martin.
Greetings to Sarah. I made your calo. Later, I'll share some photos from the Monterey, California community. Okay. We just arrived for a short vacation.
Yeah, share the photos. Yes. Great. We'll check it out there. Remember, go to the channel. There's a community area and you can share photos there.
Greetings also to Walter Osorio. How are you, Walter?
What's up, Walter?
And to Don Perfecto. Greetings, Don Perfecto.
Greetings also to Mariano, to Daniel, right? To Mariano, Cejas, Daniel, Angie55. How are you? Greetings. Awesome.
It doesn't matter. I'll let you know if needed. Yes. Hi, Italo. How are you, Italo? And I'm here too. What's up, Isa? Ibarra, how are you, Isa?
What's up? Greetings.
And greetings also to greetings, says Martin Pepe. So, what do you think about the first humanoid robot marathon in Beijing, where more than 300 prototypes are drawing all kinds of reactions from the first all-terrain warriors? What do you think?
No, well, it's great. We've already seen it. It's very interesting because in the end, these are competitions to showcase developments, right? And we've already seen those competitions, for example, robot fights in different countries and things like that. In the end, well, they're becoming more and more complex each time, right? Yes, and it's even more interesting. Running in humanoid form is really crazy. I mean, because if it were a car-type robot, well, that's not new anymore, right? The new thing now is they're humanoid, right? Greetings, Eric. How have you been? Hi, Marcela. Greetings to Chile. Awesome. What's up?
Greetings to Christy. How are you, Christy?
What's up, Daniel? Tired, says Mariano. Tired. The rain in Argentina, and it's here too.
Quite a lot of rain, yes. And pretty cool too. I mean, rain and cool weather. Rain and cool, exactly. Greetings also to Maria Riquelme, Marcela Riquelme. How are you, Marcela?
Greetings, Marcela. Very good.
All the way to Chile, right? Greetings. Cesar Bautista says, Trump's threats amount to intimidation. He has missed the chance to end that dictatorship. There is no mediation, no media-driven way out, says Cesar Bautista.
Greetings, Cesar Bautista. How have you been? Look, check out the weather here right now. It shows 13 degrees and notice it's raining every day. I mean, Sunday, today, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, cloudy, rain, and temperatures pretty much like winter. For Monterrey, northeastern Mexico at this time of year, no? Yeah, more like heading into May when suddenly the temperatures here are, well, it looks like I said, well, we're gonna be lucky that Nuevo Leon will be very green for the World Cup, right? That's what, at least that's how it seems right now.
So, greetings, Joel Sepulveda. How are you, Joel? He says, greetings from Los Angeles. Thanks for the news. I watch you every day. Greetings, Joel.
Thank you very much. Greetings to Los Angeles. That's great.
Greetings to California. Greetings to Tapatia. Well, Tapatia hasn't greeted me. I imagine she's already on her way home.
I'll still greet Tapatia and her daughter.
Certainly. Greetings to Ricardo Sandoval watching from Panama.
Hey, greetings. He says obesity is mostly genetics and eating healthy. I eat a lot like a pig, he says, but I don't gain weight. He says, Italo, greetings, how are you?
He says it depends on the person, right?
Person is
super variable, right?
Norte says to Trump, it's not convenient for him to open the buses. It's better for him if they buy oil. Norte says, Norte's health. Jose says the Norte issue. You know what happens? That later, it's a trick from Trump, that thing about, oh, they're not going to eat oil. Yeah, they're not going to eat oil. That part is true. The part that's not true is when he says, we don't need it or we don't lose anything. He says, and that's not true. They also buy oil from them, from the Arab countries, because it's oil that's necessary for refining. I mean, they use that oil that has a certain viscosity to refine oil. They blend it, they buy oil. He says, by the way, they also need oil from Venezuela. About obesity, more genetics, and about I eat pork. Before this situation in Venezuela, they had a shortage of that type of oil in Houston, Texas. They were desperate for it. And about eating healthy. Having oil, well, now in larger quantities, and look, what a coincidence. Now that oil is already coming in because of that whole issue. And what a thing, right? But yes, it does require oil. I mean, yes, it brings pressure. Otherwise, well, they wouldn't care and would just shut off the oil and that's it, close the flow. There's pressure on that.
He gets angry with the allies because he wants to free it now.
He wants to free it.
He is also desperate.
Yes, it's also convenient for him. I mean,
it's just that the thing about the oil, I think it's not very clear. Most of us think that oil is all the same, but Venezuelan oil is not the same. The oil from the Gulf is very pure, right? Besides, it's very easy to extract. It's not the same as the oil from Mexico or Canada. I mean, they're very different.
And well, it's going to be interesting to see what happens in the next 2 days, right? I mean,
every day, in 2 days.
He's extending it, isn't he? But in 2 days, we'll see then.
In 2 days?
Then another 2 days later, and it'll keep going like that. Let's see, at this point, just to see if anything has changed.
Jose Luis Chavarria is saying, suspicious accident, the vehicle seems to have exploded.
Wow. It's erased.
It's erased. Shout out to Ivan Alvarez. How are you?
Greetings, Ivana. Hello there. Look, well, oil still seems to be trending upward.
I mean, it's like it doesn't know.
But it's kind of, look, let me see if I can put it here. I mean, it went up. I mean, Friday's close was here.
Yes.
It went up to, now it opened here, right? I mean, it closed here, opens here, but it's undecided. It's not going up or down. I mean, well, it went up a little, right? Up to this point, it hasn't changed much. So as long as nothing drastic happens, maybe it's going to stay there until we know what happened. Movie Machine Gun. Which one is that? Machine. Yeah.
Yeah, right. And I think they've already recommended it. 2026, look it up. Let's see. It says the dad of no phrases says how ironic life is. You don't say anything to avoid conflicts, and you live in conflict because you don't say anything.
Good one.
It says you can't explain to someone who refuses to understand.
All right.
Yes. We see that a lot.
Yes, well, that's a great phrase. In fact, you know what? I'm going to...
She's already saving it for you. Adrian sends greetings. Hello to the aliens on the ships watching us. Greetings. Leave a like. Yes, go ahead and leave a like. Hey, if you're already here showing love on Earth, then leave a like.
At the very least, leave a like.
Yes, greetings to Mariano Chejas, who says, what is it about Cuban genetics that makes them super long-lived? That's what Mariano says. Cubans live a long time? I didn't know that. The Japanese are definitely long-lived.
Yeah, as far as I know too. As far as I know, they also have good longevity. Honestly, I can't recall which Latin American country has the highest longevity. But, well, yeah, the Japanese are famous for that, right?
The Japanese?
Yeah. It says, greetings, Adrian. Teresa says, how are you, Teresa? Greetings. Arati says the dinosaurs on each side were different. It says, greetings to Arati to you, Mok. Very good.
One will be amphitheaters, right?
Olga says, she says here in Austin the temperature has also dropped and we're expecting rain, she says. And in my Colombia too, says Olga. Greetings, Olga. Greetings.
And Adrian says Mexico turned upside down looks like a dinosaur. The meteor hits it on the head, which is Yucatan.
Greetings, Adrian. Gisela says, she says, greetings, Pepe and Astrid. Greetings, how are you? Hello. She says, if Trump invades Iran, she says he would have their oil and he relies on the planet, says the North. Greetings, North. Juan Carlos Sanchez says, how are you? Greetings to Mexico City, Juan Carlos. Greetings.
Greetings, Carlos. How are you?
Hello.
Also, greetings to, he says, how are you? He says there, greetings, Francisco Arce. How are you, Francisco?
What's up? Which Francisco?
He says, don't say the Revolutionary Guard can repress the population anymore. It's over. He says, greetings. Greetings to Oscar.
Greetings. Greetings to you too.
And greetings to, he says, look for him in a drawing, he says anyway.
In a drawing? What?
Mexico looks like an upside down dinosaur head.
Okay, that's what I understood. Let's see.
Yes, that's what I understood. Mexico.
Cool.
It says, our planet, due to the increase in CO2, all of northern Argentina and Mexico will see more and more rain under the same phenomenon that occurred when it rained on Earth for 2 billion years straight.
Greetings.
Or do you think the rainfall will increase in Mexico all the way to Argentina? Is it from northern Argentina to Mexico or just those two places?
Who says?
Hey, yeah, it does seem like it.
Hey, yeah, it does look like a dinosaur. I didn't know that one.
I didn't believe this.
It's nice. Yeah, I didn't know that one. There it is.
I still see it as a horn.
But, oh well, Mexico is this one, like an upside-down dinosaur. There it is.
A brontosaurus.
A brontosaurus? No, this one is almost cartoonish, but really good. I didn't know that, Adrian. He says, greetings, come on, what's up? Who else is out there?
Hi, he says, hit like so we can start banning the traitors.
That case. Greetings. He says,
shout out to Olga. Hi, Olga.
greetings, our grandmother says, because of the rise in CO2, you send greetings. That's great. Very good.
Shout out to baby.
Greetings to baby Ben, of course. To baby Ben, to baby Yoda. No, to baby Ben, shout out.
I'm not sure if it's baby girl, or baby boy.
Just baby, that's it. Great. Greetings, of course. She says, that type of oil is very useful for petrochemicals, our grandma says. There it is. Look, thanks for the info. She says, Italy is also a boot. Those are school things. Well, yes, Italy really is. Wonderful.
It's a shame they can't go to the World Cup.
Shout out to Caribe. Yes, she says, today I wasn't going to comment, but I was surprised when you mentioned Ben. She says,
hi.
Caribe.
Hello. Greetings to Magical Luna. How are you, Magical Luna?
Thanks so much, Magical Luna, all the way to Spain.
Hello. Thank you very much, Isa. Isa.
Thank you so much, Isa. A huge shout out. Who prefers a surprise? Well, okay, let's see what we get, right? But I guess you have to check, right? So the doctor checks, right?
The doctor does. The doctor knows. The doctor always knows. He has to be checking. Ben, it's your first child, Ben. Shout out to Daiso. By the way, Daiso says the movie was really bad. What movie, Daiso? We just watched one that's really good. It's called I Swear or Swear. It's the story of an Irishman about how as a child he starts, how do you say it?
He is diagnosed with Tourette's syndrome.
With Tourette's, he begins to show symptoms and people initially don't understand him, right? It's really beautiful. It's a story based on a true event. In fact, recently that same person had the actor, not the actor, the one from the story, the real one. The real one had a moment where he also became very famous in 2026 at some awards because he said something. Yes. And well, they got really upset there, but well, it was the fault of the people who organized the event who put the microphone in front of him, right?
Well, she says they told me that a Russian university, she says, discovered the cure for cancer. You know, from researching, she says, where to look, how I could investigate. Because of my illness, she says, I'm desperate. She says, greetings, Tapatia. I mean, let's check and see what's out there. I mean, there have been several interesting developments from Spain, for example, in cancer research, really major stuff. And in Russia, well, they came up with the vaccine, right? A vaccine for certain types of cancer. I don't know how developed it is, but I understand it's going well, apparently. But what you're looking for is something else, right? I mean, what you're looking for is a different topic. If you want, we can check and verify. Let's see what's the latest that has come out about the topic you're bringing up, and then we'll send it to you so you can analyze it, right? I mean, a big hello to you, and we'll take it from there. Just send me an email and we'll check it out, okay? He says, Margarita, how have you been? Hi, hello there. Cleo sending you a big hello. Via Twitter as well, by the way. He says, and so how have you been, Marcela? Great. He says, the movie tells the story of a team of Army Rangers, and everything is, although he says,
War Machine, starring Alan Richardson, premieres on Netflix. It premiered on Netflix on March 6th of this year, directed by Patrick Hughes, an action and science fiction movie on Netflix.
what's it called? War Machine.
War Machine. And it says, the movie tells the story of a team of United States Army Rangers whose training exercise turns into a fight for survival against a mysterious threat with a violent and action-packed plot, battling against an alien race.
Ooh, yeah. Army story with a violent, action-packed plot.
Fighting an alien race.
Greetings to Este. I was looking for something like this these days, but I haven't found anything interesting. Yeah, I saw it, but I didn't feel like watching a typical war movie, you know? Like, that's enough already.
I wanted to watch something really entertaining.
I wanted to watch something entertaining, honestly. I mean, yeah, and this one looks like it's a fun movie, right? Entertaining. All right. I'm watching the trailer here.
Greetings, Joconejo. This is an excellent movie, Joconejo. You have the same taste as me.
Very good. Greetings.
Greetings, well,
Let's go.
let's go, guys. Let's watch the movie. Remember that saludos?
Joconejo. Greetings, Adrián Tapatia. He says, yes, thank you. I'm noticing.
Greetings, Sam. I mean, remember that we're on WhatsApp, on Telegram, and we're also on Facebook. Well, I mean, on Instagram. No, sorry. We send notifications on Telegram and WhatsApp.
Thank you very much. Greetings, Tapatia. We'll check them.
It's more surprising than you think. There's a twist.
Okay. I like it.
I like it.
Awesome, Joconejo. Big shout out. So, well, that's great. Thank you so much. Honestly, it's a lot, really. I needed something like this. This movie is great and beautiful. The one about luck, yes. But I needed something like this. Something for total enjoyment, relaxation. He says, Mariano, send greetings. Great. A hug to the whole community. Happy Monday to those starting the week. Enjoy your meal. See you later.
We interrupt your regular programming. Thank you for tuning in to the truth.
This is Pepe Live.
The truth is intense. The extraordinary is real. Here we analyze it. Global focus. Don't miss out. Tune into the channel. Pepe Live, running the feed. Pepe and Astrid telling it like it is. Here, we respect raw journalism. Turn on alerts. Don't lose track. Until next time. Yes, sir.
We're taking attendance.
Suscríbete. Pepe Live in the house. Pepe House.